Jade Abbot. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about your talk at DevConf.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Jade, if you could just give us a little bit of an overview of your background, that'd be great.
Cool. So I don't know what I'd call myself these days. I'm a person with many hats. So I started off studying. Actually, if I go all the way back, the thing that matters most is that when I was a kid, I wanted to build a robot friend. I was really into science fiction. That's what I cared about, and so I chose to study computer science. And came out of that, did a master's, got very bored doing that because it wasn't very collaborative. It wasn't making a big impact at the time. So I joined Retro Rabbit, we're a software consulting company. Back when I joined, there were only 15 people, which is quite cool. We're in a small little house. And I've been working for them for over 7 years. Starting off as a junior software engineer, I got to work kind of all over the space. And then moved into moved into the more machine learning space. This is obviously what I was really passionate about, and got to experience a fair amount in natural language processing, which is basically using AI for text. And while I was there, I kind of noticed that there was a big problem with the kind of overrepresentation of English in kind of natural language processing, and the techniques that exist didn't actually end up working for many South African languages. So while I was working at Retro, I started an initiative called Masakane, and Masakane focused on building these NLP tools for African languages. So it's just a grassroots like open research initiative that does that, and we finally got that registered as a foundation as of this year, which is really exciting. And so if you had to I also do a lot of write research, comment on stuff. I think I've learned these days. I've done my time in software. I've built lots of things. It was very fun. And these days I find myself looking at the systems which software exists in. So organizations, how that affects the software we build, how the software we build affects organizations. I also find myself looking at strategic issues around that, which I find very engaging and very interesting. And I also really like writing science fiction.
Where can we read this?
Oh no, there's nothing published yet. This is my future goal. I think I decided 2 days ago that actually I should have always been a sci-fi writer. I don't know why I haven't been. I just never made time for it. And so this is my future, is looking at some sci-fi. I'm also a bassist in a band that I've been in since 2011. Very slow. We just play music for ourselves. We have played lots of shows. But frankly, we don't care who likes us or who doesn't, because it's just very nerdy. It's called math rock is the genre, which is really the nerdiest thing one can think of. Very interesting musically, but no one can dance to it, and that's fine.
We definitely need to speak to the DevConf organizers about having you play DevConf's dinner. I think this is.
That would be wild.
Okay?
Could be an opportunity, but also I don't know if we're the right people. You kind of want people at DevConf to like the music.
I feel like math rock could work. So Robert and Candace, just saying, math rock could work. Just saying.
They'd be down if I said, "Hey, Jane wants to play." I'm sure I'd be keen to chat with them about that. But they must listen to my music first and then decide if this is the right thing. Because
it's called math rock. I think it'll fit in fine.
Yeah, our drummer's really busy. He's is super successful, so we never really get to play with him. So hopefully he's available, which would be nice.
There we go.
Busy. God, he's an actual musician. As with the other two of us, it's been a side hobby since we were kids. Part-timers, yeah. You just got to compete.
Talk to us a little bit more about your talk for DevConf. You don't need AI. You need to know what your data is. That is, and it's a really interesting topic. How did you get to this talk? What are you talking about in the day, without obviously telling us everything? A little bit of an overview.
Yeah, so the overview is stemmed from watching this AI wave happen in front of me and being there very early on trying to build it. So I think my first project I got into and was allowed to play with these very new technologies was around 2015. And through that, I could see there was a very large disconnect between what was being said, right, and what actually was required on the ground. And so a lot of that I think is caught up. And so the tools and the technologies now might exist a bit more, but there's still like a fundamental understanding on what AI is capable of. And it's still quite often being sold as this, it's going to solve everything, it's going to do all this stuff. And I think it's been really, I mean, I've seen businesses build these giant data science departments and have absolutely no idea what to do with them because they never really thought about the use cases. They thought, we'll just put all these people there and eventually value will come out, right? And I don't think that ever really happened. And I think it does in some cases. Some organizations got it right and some didn't. But we were all running on the advice of people who also fundamentally didn't know what they were doing, which was large consulting companies. At the time, they were telling people how to do things and they didn't know. And so we all were kind of participants in this delusion. But I think it's time we stop deluding ourselves, basically.
This is this sounds like a talk that's going to ruffle a few feathers, possibly. So if
it's my goal always.
Oh, probably the right forum then. So if you could have anyone at your talk, who would you, if you could kind of build your ideal audience for your talk, who would be there?
So the people who are either implementing AI in their organization, have implemented AI at their organization, because then they're going to laugh. They're going to have a hilarious time because we'll relate. And executives, because I think executives are the people who are really in charge of the strategy. And I think we can talk a lot more about strategy and how to better do that. Because I think, implementation matters, but if we don't have executive buy-in into that type of implementation, then we're gonna have large fights. And so I sometimes think I'm talking to the room that's going to agree with me. I think if they're going to be data scientists at my talk, they're going to cry a little bit, they're going to laugh because they know they've been there, they've done this, and so it's for them, as much as it is for me to just get that all out, and so we can cry together. But it's also for people who are trying to do this, so that we can uncover, bring ourselves back to reality and kind of reevaluate what it is we want to do.
Okay. So what kind of questions would you like to see your audience asking at DevConf?
So I think some of the ones I'd like to see being asked is from data scientists is how can they, better refine their skill set, given that there are usually too many data scientists than there are data engineers or other roles. And not just data engineers, it could be data storytellers, there's a whole bunch of things. So, they've all been focusing on this one thing. And I think there's a lot more pieces that are actually more important and harder to get right. And so focusing on those, I'd like to hear that. I think another question that I'd like to hear is people asking more about the solution I'm proposing, because I've tried it at various extents. And I think those questions can be helpful in kind of building what a better future could look like. And the last question I'd like is, can you please come here and help us figure out this shit show we've created? That's the last question, and I'll be like, yes, for a fee, and that's fine.
Okay.
Call us. We'll come. I'll give you some. We'll sit down and we'll talk it through. And I fundamentally want your thing to work. Like I do. Trust me. I love AI, but like we need to figure out how we're doing it. And so that's my last.
So those are your top 3 questions. Okay. So I'm interested about the sparkle gifs and the RuPaul memes. Was that going to be all the way through your talk or just at the end?
Spattered in some places. Yeah, like I think I need some more. I don't think I have enough. I've already got like 5 slides that are more sparkle and RuPaul.
Can you ever have enough sparkle? That's the question.
No, fundamentally
Never.
No, you can't. Sometimes it can be a bit distracting and people can't focus. I guess that's when it's too much. But sometimes, I think tech needs a lot more sparkle. Like doesn't need shiny stories and dreams. We just need to make things sparkier. It's very retro.
So when you do
my talk is very internet during the MySpace era kind of thing.
It was a great time. The UX people will love you when you talk, when you bring that up. We'll organize a little sit down with you, Louise, who's also talking about UX. Yes. So when you build your robot friend, will he be pink and sparkly?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a he or a she. I don't know what gender. I don't know if we need to give our robot a gender. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's a robot friend.
But yeah, it could be it'd be my robot friend. Pink and sparkly, probably. Yeah. I hope that my robot gets to pick and choose exactly how it likes to dress, and it can just be like, I feel like being, you know, outrageous in fashion today, or I'm feeling more, this is more of a, you know, looking trendy and black, little black dress kind of vibe. Maybe he wants to wear a pantsuit. You know, I don't care. But the robot I built should definitely have some I don't know, some agency at least into some sparkle. Should definitely have some sparkle.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing them speak at one of the DevConfs in the future as well.
Yes, it would be great. I don't know if I really want to build that robot anymore. I think my ideology on AI has changed a lot. But that said, still love robots in sci-fi. They're still the coolest.
They always are. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing your talk at DevConf.
Thank you, Philippa. It was a delight to talk for you. Thank you for listening to all my nonsense.